Hi everyone, so today I want to show you this card. Now I'm calling this a 6x6 extended pop-out panel card. It was inspired by the pop-out panel card that I did in a live stream. It's completely different to that pop-out panel card, but it just got me thinking about some things. So that's the top view. Obviously, when it's actually out like this, it isn't 6x6. This, if you just have it kind of as it's going to be, on your desk, it measures 12 by 6 by 12. Obviously you can stretch it out a bit more if you want to, but that's kind of how how it is. But it will fit in a envelope for a 6x6 card. It's a bit of a puzzle to stick it to, to get it to fold up, but it does happen. So what you do is you just before I mention how you fold it up, let me just quickly tell you about the bits that are on it as well, because I don't really want to unfold it. So the papers are all my own papers. They're the Merry and Bright pack, digital pack, and they're available on Etsy. So if you head over to Etsy, all the links will be in the description below. The base card that I've used was a Stampin' Up card, and I actually got it from my local art and craft shop. I can't tell you what colour it is because I've got no clue. It was like a multiple pack. I don't know if it said on it. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's like a berry colour. It's like a mulberry colour. It's very nice. And then the Miri card that I've used here is a Dovecraft Tropical Mirror card pack. The white card I've used is from Paper Mill Direct. It says they're 240 GSM. It's nice and smooth. I love it. I love it for card making. This Joyful and Triumphant die was an old X-Cut Docraft die. I don't know if you can still get it. You might be able to get it on like an auction site like eBay, or you might be able to get it on Amazon. I'm not sure. If I can find a link for it, I'll put it in the description below. All the others, there'll be description. I'll put links in the description for the other things, but I'm not sure if there will be for that. And then the only other thing is the wreath die, and that is from Coca-Rosa Studio. I mentioned it in my craft haul recently, well, relatively recently. And so this is this one here. Hopefully it's still available. But if you use my code ICED20, it'll get you 20% off your order over on cocarosastudio.com. So that is that. So now I'm going to show you how to fold it up. So what you do is, and on the back you've got space to write as well. So what you do is you pull this bit in like this, like that. I'm going to do the same at the bottom. And then this bit goes round, and that goes like that. And you do exactly the same on the other side. So that goes in like that, that goes round, that goes round, and then that is how it folds flat, and it will fit. That footprint is then 6x6, and it will fit in an envelope for a 6x6 card. So the recipient gets it out of the envelope, and it is quite chunky. I'll just warn you as well. I've used, as I said, relatively thin card, but you do end up with it a bit chunky. This probably would struggle to go in normal post. You might want to do it as a large letter in the UK, but to be honest, cards like this I tend to either not mind paying the extra postage because it's going to someone special, or I will hand deliver it. And then you just get it out and it will sit up on your desk like that. So there we go. So let's get into it. Okay, so for this card you're going to need two base cards in fact, that are 6 by 9. So we'll score those in a minute. 2 base cards that are 6 by 9. You need one base card that's 3 by 12. I've actually got a piece that's A4 length, so it's about 11 3/4. So I'm going to be using that, and we'll see how we go with it. I think it will work. It's just that you're going to end up with slight shortage at either end, but it's going to be so minimal that you're not really going to notice. So if you've got a 3 by 12, it's probably best to use that, although again you might actually need to trim a tiny bit off the edges. I know when I did my little sample card I needed to trim a little bit off, but anyway, we're going to see how we go. So I've got 11 3/4 here, and then you need one piece that is 3 by 6. The piece that's 3 by 6 doesn't need scoring, so we're going to put that off to one side. It's just these 3 pieces here. So on the the 2 pieces that are 6 by 9, you're going to score at 1.5, at 3, at 4.5, and at 6. And you can do that on both pieces. So you end up with 2 pieces that look like that. Okay, so next we're going to bring in the piece that's 3 by 12. Obviously, as I said, mine's 3 by 11 3/4. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it in so that we are pretty much central. So I've just brought it in 1/8 in and an eighth in, because then that's going to make the 6 inches at the right place. So then with it like that, so it's central, you're going to score at 3 inches and at 9 inches. Obviously, if you've just got a 12-inch piece, you're just going to score at 3 at 9, and it's going to be fine. But as I said, if you're using anything less, you just need to make sure it's central between 0 and 12, and then score at 3 and 9. Okay, because then you know you've got the same distance in here as you have here, and this piece here should be 6 inches. That's the main thing. Okay, so this piece here, what we're going to do is these are just going to be mounting folds. Now we do need to die cut this piece. Well, you don't need to, but I'm going to be die cutting my piece. I'm going to be die cutting an aperture out of the middle. If you want to just leave it as a solid band, you can. If you wanted to, you could actually do like I did with the pop-out panel card, and you could have 3 pieces across. Or you could do it lots of different ways, to be honest with you. You could do it as a big piece and have a big aperture out the middle. There's lots of different things you could do, but that's how we're going to do it. Now, before we crack on with that, let's deal with this first, then we'll deal with the actual base piece. So on here, you are going to need, now I'm sticking to just pattern pieces. The reason being that I do not want to make it too bulky, because when it folds up, there's quite a lot of folding, and so you don't want any thick card. So this is Stampin' Up card, which I believe is about a 240. It feels like around a 240 GSM. So yeah, so I've just gone with that, and then I've got pattern paper, and this is a 120 GSM paper. And actually, if you had anything a little bit less than that, like about 80, that would probably be better. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick these on. So these pieces, notice that this is not quite wide enough. It's a little bit, tight, and that's just because obviously I've cut these as if this was a 12-inch length. Okay, so you need 2 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Just make them slightly less if you're going for the A4, length of card, and then your middle piece is 2 3/4 by 5 3/4, and that's going to go in the middle. And what we want to do is you want to make sure that this piece in the middle you properly glue down. If you're cutting a hole out the middle, which I'm going to be doing, you need to make sure you really do stick the whole thing down, so when you cut your aperture out, you're not left with, it pulling up and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these down. Okay, so you end up with that. So what I'm going to do now, because I want to use one of my new dies, so this die is one of the Coca Rosa Studio dies, and I've already cut it out of blue mirri, and this is actually Dovecraft blue mirri, and this is part of the tropical, I think this is the tropical mirri card pack. I'll put all the links down in the description below. And I'd already cut this out, so I really wanted to use it. And it's a really good, it's quite a good colour. It could have stood out a bit more, but it's a reasonable colour. In fact, I might cut one out in white and just back it with white, just so it stands out a bit more, so it pops a bit more. So yeah, so that's what I've used for that. So because of that, what I wanted to do was I wanted to cut an aperture out that is pretty much similar kind of size. So that is very similar. It's just slightly smaller. If I go much bigger, I'm going to have problems, because obviously this is, you see how tight that is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make a mark. I'm going to do it on I'll do it on this side actually. I'm just going to do it on this side and work out where halfway is, so that I can make sure that my circle is slap bang in the middle. So halfway is there, 3 inches. That's halfway. And then if we take this, I can lay this on here, and that is going to be pretty much halfway. So I'm going to go ahead now and just cut this out with my die cutting machine. A little tip, if you do get this die, when you get it, all of the main holes are all kind of in the middle of the branch, as it were. There's nothing on the edge. So when you do it, what I would do, make sure, number 1, you don't use a very thin card, and number 2, use a poker tool that's a little bit blunt, not that sharp, and you just want to poke through and just kind of get it a little bit. So if I start up here, I'll show you. So this bit here is completely on, so you want to poke it a little bit like this, and the moment you get a little bit of lift, get a sharper one and just go straight in leave it level like that and just kind of lever it. Okay, and then that will mean you're not going to tear your card. And then once you've got it going, you can then just go ahead, very carefully take it off. But yeah, just a little tip for you when you're doing it. And any die that you have that's like that, because I know you can get dies that are like that just basically, they don't have a thing as well, because if they put something on the edge here, it'd be really difficult, because that is quite a fine, as you can see, it's quite a fine leaf. So that's why they've had to do it in the middle. But just so you know, if you do get this die, that's the best way of getting it out. Okay, so I've cut my aperture out the middle. So there we go. I decided not to tape it because I didn't want to pull the print off the pattern piece. Although it's the middle bit, I'm probably not going to use it, but just in case I do want to still use it, I don't really want to pull it all off. I've also cut out a white one, like I said I was going to, so I can just like either offlay it, you know, off center it even, whatever the word is, or I can, so I can offset it like that. I might do that actually, I might just offset it because that looks quite good. And I've got a white greeting to go over the top, so yeah, I think I'll probably offset it. So now that's done, let's concentrate on our actual base. So you're going to bring your two pieces of base back in again, and you're going to turn them around so you've got the two widest strips on the outside. Then what you want to do, starting from the middle, you're going to go valley, mountain, mountain, valley, and the same on this one, valley, mountain, mountain, valley. Okay, so you should end up with that. Okay, so then you want to bring in your piece that was 3 by 6 that we started at the beginning. We didn't need to cut, so we put to one side. And what you're going to do is you're just going to glue this inside piece here, and you're going to stick this one over the top and join those two together. So I'm going to start with this one. Just going to put some glue on here like that, and then take my piece of 3 by 6, and you want to really make sure your creases are creased and folded, because you want to make sure that it butts up to the crease line but doesn't go over, so you can effectively, you know, fold that bit. You can fold that bit over without it being too much trouble. And then you're going to do the same on this side. So I'm going to go ahead, put some glue on here, and then what we're going to do is do the same again, overlap it, and then just stick it down and make sure it sticks in that crease up against the crease line, the fold line. So I'm going to pick that up. That's going to go over the top like that. I'm just going to bend that up, hoping it's not getting too dark. There we go, like that. Okay, so you end up with that, which is massive. It's quite a massive, I mean, the whole thing, I don't even know how much that measures, but it's a lot, okay? But it's fine, because what's going to happen is it's going to fold up. I'll show you now before we put the front piece on, but it's going to fold up with these two pieces going in, like that. Okay, and then this will go behind, like that, and then like that. So you've got this weird kind of like, can you see, concertina piece there, and then the same here. So this is why you don't want thick card, because if you have thick card, you're really going to be in trouble. So that's why I've gone for not very thick card. I've done no matte, just pattern, because otherwise this will start bulging and it won't properly fold. Okay, so that's how, because that's how it's going to go in the envelope. So that's how you're going to fold it flat, and I'll show you in a minute. When you add this bit, you'll see that just folds down flat with it as well. Right, so we're going to go ahead and decorate this now, before we stick that front piece on. So for this, you are going to need 2 pieces of pattern paper that are, so in fact you're going to need three pieces of pattern paper that are 2 3/4 by 5 3/4, which you're going to go here, here and here. And then you need 6 pieces of pattern paper that are 1 1/4 by 5 3/4, and they're going to go on all 3 sides of these 2 pillars. So I'm going to go ahead and stick those down. Okay, so I've gone ahead and stuck those down. Now, the other thing as well you might want to do is on the back here, you might want to put a white piece on that is where you can either go 3 by 6, or if you want a bit of a border, you can go 2 3/4 by 5 3/4. So that's what I'm going to do on mine. And just in case you're wondering what stamp this was, it was off this set. Now, I have no idea where this came from. It was from the Swindon ladies. I think it was probably a magazine, a free magazine gift from who knows when. If anybody knows where this is from, please let me know. But yeah, I've really no idea. I think it was a free magazine gift, but it's just been, that's all I've used. Very useful. This is also very useful. We wish you a Merry Christmas. I use quite a bit. 'Tis the season to be jolly. They're just very useful. I like the fact you got the different sizes. So yeah, I've no idea where it came from. Can't help you with that, sorry. So now what we're going to do, now we've done that, we're going to flip this back over again. And so we want to go ahead and we want to sort this front section out. Now, on this front section, before I go ahead and, in fact, no, I'm going to stick it down first and then stick everything else onto it. I think that is going to be the best idea. Although, actually, let me think, because I've got a Joyful and Triumphant. This was a Do Craft X-Cut die from many years ago. And there was quite a few different ones. It was like a whole Christmas die set. And so I was going to do that and have it over the top of my things. So actually, no, if I do that, I was wondering if I was going to need to put it on acetate, but I don't think I'm going to need to, because I've actually done two together and stuck them together, so therefore that it's quite, you know, quite a good weight now. So I don't think I'm going to need to do that. So I think what we will do then is we'll stick this down first, then we'll add the wreath. I think that's what we'll do. So what we want to do is bring this in, and basically these two are going to go either side there like that. Now, see, this is quite flimsy in the middle here, which is a good reason why we're adding all that on, because that's going to help make it a bit less flimsy. You want to make sure, if you're doing it this way, that it's central, top and bottom. And you also want to make sure that when you fold it all flat, which I'm now going to do, let's do this side first. So when you fold it all flat like that, you want to make sure, it's a bit tricky, it's a bit of a puzzle to fold flat like that, but you want to make sure that these go either side, and that when you can fold it flat, they do fold flat. Because I did do one, and I used the 12, so this is my sample, and this was 12 inches long, and I ended up, when I stuck it down, these bits were a little bit too long. So that's what I was saying, if you're using a 12-inch, you might have to shave an eighth off either side, or a tiny bit off either side, but using the A4, it's actually not too bad. So that is how it's going to be, and you want to make sure, as I said, it's kind of level top and bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to peg it into position. Just going to make sure I've got it, yeah, nice and straight. It's about there, I would say. And I'm just going to peg it on one side, and then we don't have to peg it, but I just want to do that because to make sure. And then I'm just going to flip this little bit out here and put some tape on the other side of that. In fact, if I flip it over like, oh, I'm being a bit clever now. If I flip it over like that, I can actually see where I need to put the glue. So if I draw a little line here, I know it's going to be there. I'm going to use wet glue. You can use tape. I'm going to use wet glue just because I really do want to make sure that it's definitely stuck in the right place. And with tape, once it grabs, it grabs. So I'm going to go ahead and add some glue. I don't want loads because I don't want it to seep out, because if it seeps out, it's going to ruin the print. And then I'm just going to flip it round, tuck it back in there, in that little flap there at the back. I'll tuck it in there like that. Make sure that it is all in the right position. And when we're happy, I can take this off. I don't have to have the peg now. And then we're going to do the same on this side. So I'm going to just flip that bit out, flip this bit over. I can see, I don't need to draw a pencil on, I can see where my glue needs to go. So again, we're just going to go ahead and glue here like that, and then we are going to flip it over, and you just need to make sure when you stick it in, just going to tuck it under there like that, and then just press the whole thing flat, and that hopefully will stick nicely behind here. So you do really need to concertina it up. It's a bit of a puzzle, I have to say, getting it to you know, fold flat. It is a bit of a puzzle. So just be patient, and yeah, in a minute when it's dry, I'll just show you what it looks like slowly as you unravel it, and you can sort of see what I mean. And then if you need to screenshot this in order to be able to fold it up to put it in your envelope, you can. Hopefully the recipient won't need to, like, this year they'll get it out of the envelope and that's that. It's a little bit chunky in the middle here because you've got quite a few layers, but obviously, as I said, if you keep them thin, if you keep your layers thin, then you're not going to have so much of a problem. So I think that's pretty much stuck. So if we go for a top view, I'm going to stand up just to make sure you can see my top view. So if you can see this, and then as I pull it open, can you see that bit there? Can you see how that folds into there and then it just pops out? I've had to switch my light on because it's getting a bit dark here, but I'm hoping you can still see it. So can you see that's how it's open? That's how it is when it's open. Okay, and this is bowing slightly, but it won't once I get the wreath on it. And then what's going to happen is these two bits are going to go in, and then so if I do one side at a time, that's going to go there, that's going to go behind, this is going to go here, that's going to go behind like that, and then these two pieces are going to go flat, and then that's how it lies flat in the envelope, and it will sit in an envelope for a 6x6 card. So this across here measures 6 inches, and obviously your height is 6 inches. So it's a very big card when it opens up, but obviously you don't have to worry about that because, you know, it folds flat. Now with it folded flat like this, I'm now going to stick my wreaths on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick these two together first, and then I'm going to stick them down, and then hopefully that will kind of help with keeping it, you know, together. If you're concerned, if it's a bit wobbly like mine is here, then what you can do is you can put a bit of acetate if you want. I don't really want to do that if I can help it, so I'm going to see if I can, you know, not do that. I always keep a few pegs on my desk, and they come in handy for things like this. I don't use pegs very often, but I do use them for construction of cards. So there you go. Right, I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to stick these two wreaths together. Okay, so I've just used some Pinflair silicone glue around here, just little dobs of it, and I'm going to go ahead now and stick the wreath on. I just thought that the Pinflair glue might give me a bit more flexibility and a bit more stability as well. So we're just going to do that, and I just want to make sure I don't want to stick it onto my I don't want to get any glue onto my actual card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this. Need to be careful because of that tape, and I'm just going to put this under here like that, and then I can just press down and not have to worry. There we go. Now because I'm using silicone glue, some of it is seeping out. I just don't want it seeping out like through the aperture and underneath and sticking below. That should look pretty good. Okay, so that is that, and then I've got no silicone glue on here. No, that's good. And then the other thing we need to do is stick our joyful and triumphant on. So that's going to go on there like that. So I'm just going to turn this over. Now I do have to be a bit careful because there is still some silicone glue just poking out of this wreath, and I don't want it on the back of here. So let me just see where we want it. Okay, so I've stuck that down. It's still wet, so just be a bit careful with it. But anyway, I can show you. So then when you open it up, that's your card. And then obviously the top view is like that. So it really is an impressive looking card, but it folds down to be a 6x6. So yeah, so that's, and as I said, there's lots of things you can do. So if you wanted to, you can make this piece as tall as your card is. Or if you wanted to, you can make like strips, or you can make it narrower, or you could change this, you know, the shape and have it just like a, I don't know, a circle and then just on a little band. Or there's really loads you could do. You could put border edges down the side. You could, I was actually thinking of using one of the other Coca-Cola Studio dies, the one that cuts the panels out. I was thinking of using this maybe even on the sides or down here. So there's literally loads. In fact, you could do that across there. That would be quite nice. There's loads you can do. So yeah, the only thing, yeah, so the thing I didn't mention, I think I mentioned it at the beginning, but obviously if you go across to cocoarosestudio.com and use my code ICE20, you'll get 20% off your order. These are my papers. These are my Merry and Bright papers. They're available over on my Etsy shop. So go ahead and check those out. Yeah, and everything else I'll try and link. Well, I'll try and link it all below. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. Please comment below, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video because that helps me as well. And yeah, if you want to become a silver member, you can. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.